I wore the Meta Ray-Ban display glasses for a week, and here's what I learned. These are the most practical use of AR that I've ever tested. But with every strength comes its trade-off, and the more I wore these, the more those trade-offs became the real narrative of these glasses. Starting off with the build, they look a little bit thicker than regular Ray-Bans, but honestly, I'm still really impressed on how they were able to keep these so thin considering how much tech is packed inside. The build quality also feels really solid, like any other pair of Ray-Ban glasses. But the weight? That's where you start to notice the difference. They're about 24 grams heavier than a regular pair of Ray-Bans, and the moment you put them on, you definitely feel the extra weight. It's not super heavy, but just enough that when you look down, they start to slide forward. I noticed that this happened to me a lot when I was looking down at my phone. And after a few hours, I noticed pressure on my nose and behind my ears, which served as a constant reminder that I wasn't wearing regular glasses. And after enough time, that pressure became a mild headache. So to me, the weight isn't negligible. Oh, and my hair kept getting caught in those speaker grills at the top of the arms of the glasses. Kinda like when your hair gets caught in the extendable part of headphones. It's not a deal breaker, but it is annoying. As for battery life, I never had any issues with it dying on me. With the display constantly on, I would say you get around 3 hours. But if you bring down the brightness and you don't have the display on all the time, you could easily stretch this to 5 or 6 hours. On top of that, the charging case was super convenient. I love the fact that you could just put the glasses in the case when you're not using them and they would charge automatically. According to Meta, a fully charged case can provide up to 48 hours of extra power, which I totally believe. My glasses stayed at 100% and I didn't even have to charge the case once. Plus the fact that the case folds up into something small enough to fit into your pocket, that's such a smart practical design choice. And the neural band battery never even came close to running low. Moving on to the display. Since it's monocular and not binocular, the display will only show up in one of your eyes. In this case, it's the right eye. And so you'll have to look slightly down and to the right to see it. At first, this was kind of weird that only one of your eyes is seeing something. It even caused a bit of eye strain for me, but after a few days, my eyes adjusted and now I barely notice it. Still, everyone I show these to are really thrown off by it being only one eye. As for the brightness, when I first saw 5,000 nits, I thought that's totally overkill. But once you go outside, it totally makes sense. The display is bright enough that you can see everything clearly even in direct sunlight. According to Meta, there's only about 2% light leakage, meaning that people around you shouldn't be able to tell when the display is on. However, in my experience, once the brightness goes past about 70%, nearby people notice a faint glint from the projector on the lens of your glasses. Moving on to the speakers and mic quality, these things were really surprising to me. The microphones are fantastic. I tested them against AirPods and you can definitely hear the difference in sound quality on the receiving side of a call. Since the glasses connect to your phone over Bluetooth, you can even walk away pretty far before the call drops. As for speakers, the music sounds amazing for open ear audio. The sound is full, crisp, and way more immersive than I expected. And while the volume gets plenty loud, once you pass about 50%, people around you can definitely hear what you're listening to. Spotify being directly integrated with these glasses is a huge win though. It was easy to set up and it worked right away. The only thing is, I wish it could do more. Right now, you can play, pause, and skip tracks, but you can't browse through playlists or search songs, so most of the time you're just staring at a static album cover. That said, the right speaker on my pair started to sound a little tinny after a few days, which was kind of disappointing. Another weird quirk, if you're wearing AirPods with the glasses and a call comes in, the audio automatically switches over to the glasses instead of the AirPods. Also, for some reason, you can't control AirPod volume from the display, so every time I wanted to do this, I had to take out my phone to manually control the volume, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of trying to replace your phone. Moving over to the neuroband, this thing was every bit as impressive as I hoped. For anyone who hasn't seen it, it uses tiny electrical signals through your wrist to detect finger motions like pinching or swiping and turns them into input for the glasses. And the best part about it was it felt intuitive. You could really tell that Meta put a lot of thought into these gestures, like pinching to select or twisting your fingers like you're turning a knob to adjust volume. However, for me, the band had to be really snug, and I mean, in my case, my veins were practically popping. And if it was slightly loose, the gestures would misread. For example, when I was on a call, the display shows who you're talking to by default, and your cursor hovers over the hang up button, and a few times I tried to exit the menu and it ended up hanging up my call instead, which is not ideal. And because it needed to be tight, it can be really hard to take off. But once it's on properly, I would say it works about 90% of the time. And when it does, it's extremely futuristic. I liked using it when I was cooking, cleaning, doing the dishes, basically any other time where I wouldn't want to touch my phone, so being able to navigate the menu or answer calls with gestures was extremely convenient. Side note, when Meta first demoed these glasses, they showed off a handwriting feature that lets you respond to text super discreetly. Unfortunately, that feature isn't available yet, which is a bit of a letdown. So let's talk about some of the apps you'd actually be using day to day. First off, The lack of a screen mirroring app feels like a missed opportunity. It was available during the in-store demo at Best Buy before I bought them, but the feature just isn't available for the public. So if you wanted to show people what you're seeing or walk your friends through trying them out, it makes it way more difficult. The live captioning is insane. It catches almost everything, and it'll even clean up people's grammar sometimes. What's even cooler is how smart it is. It transcribes everything that's being said in front of you, but not from your own voice or people behind you. So if you're someone who is hard of hearing, this could be a game changer. For live translations, it also works surprisingly well. While it nails traditional Spanish, once slang or casual speech comes in, it struggles. Sometimes it even hears the right words but decides not to translate them. Still, when it works, it's genuinely impressive. What really stood out to me was how they solved the two-way communication problem, because it's not really helpful if only one of you can understand the other. They actually use your phone to show the conversation in both languages, so it works seamlessly in both directions. Messaging right now is kind of hit or miss. When you set it up, it allows you to select certain contacts that you want to import, which is cool. It shows you their names in your call logs, and the ones that you didn't import will just show up as numbers. But when you get a text message in, it'll still show you their name even if you didn't import them. So why even ask? It feels kind of inconsistent to me. And if you're trying to use iMessage, replying to the group chat doesn't actually send it to the whole group, but instead sends your reply as an individual text to the person from the chat. The UI also feels really basic. You can't scroll through your text messages, and you can only search by your recent calls, not by names or favorites. And if you want to FaceTime someone, you have to use Instagram or WhatsApp instead. So now looking at maps, this is the one that I was really excited for, because when you travel to new cities or go to new places, this could be really useful to look at where you are and relative to where everything else is. But for me, it was kind of a letdown because every time I tried to route somewhere, it would always say route is currently not available, and it would send the route to my phone using Google Maps or Apple Maps. So why can't it just use those maps in the glasses directly? I talked about Spotify a bit already, but it's nice to have. The UI is just a bit too limited. I wish you could search songs or browse playlists. As for Instagram, you can view DMs and watch reels from what people have sent you, which is pretty cool, but you can't scroll through your feed or browse posts, so it feels a bit half-finished. Overall, the app selection is pretty limited, and most of the ones that do exist feel more like early demos. So my thoughts after a week, I can't recommend these glasses just yet. They're heavier than I like them to be, the neuroband can be finicky, the app selection isn't there yet. On top of that, not having a screen mirroring app makes sharing this experience a pain. The live translation and the audio were both really impressive, but this just isn't replacing your phone anytime soon. But they're easily the most promising step towards real-world AR that we've ever seen. And if this is where we are now, I can only imagine what the next version is going to look like. And if you want to see more about the specs inside the glasses, check out my video here. And if you like this content, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.